You're listening to the Who is Christine Anyway podcast season 2. Today's guest is Mellyssa Woodward. Enjoy.
I've done merch for big names before, and it's been, first of all, it's been interesting to say the least. But it's also one of those things where you'd be surprised how many people are just like, so what are you doing over here? And I'm like, merch?
Just, kind of.
Just merch.
I'm just here to make sure that this sells.
Can I get you? But if you, and I'm not saying that there's method to madness. There's always method to madness. And it's like, we go into the psychology of it. And yes, being attractive as a female or attractive as a person or an attractive personality, like it doesn't have to even be about looks. It's personality, and where you can, kind of be bubbly and conversational and whatever, you're going to garner more sales. So bands are going to pick you up and they're going to want to take you with them in a positive way. They're like, you're an amazing seller. You're doing this, and there is money to be made, especially if there's a commission offered. Like that's kind of crazy, but it's kind of weird to think that like the person running at the door at the DIY, that could be something that is their passion. And then when they're not doing that, they have the job as a merch seller when they're not on tour for that. And it's interesting the amount of people you walk by in a day that you don't know the stories of. Mm-hmm. So I think that like writing out the stories like you do is super important, and asking them the questions.
Yeah. And it is something that I wish I had started when I had started going to shows. Like I didn't go to a lot of shows when I was in high school. I didn't even know that this was a thing up here in high school. I was very sheltered. I get to college and I start going to all these shows. I was like, oh, hey, there's this happening on campus. Started going. And then one of the bands that Bruce would bring was down in Herkimer. And that's when I met.
Which band was that?
Doppler Effect? No, Honor Bright from Syracuse.
Okay. Now it's weird because you don't realize it, but... So I think we're talking about the same Bruce Lindsay, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And right now he's probably like, hey, she just mentioned my name. And I'm like, yeah.
Right.
He used to play for me at the Getaway. And that's how I met him. Like I met him when I was like 14 or 15. And he was in that, Fade Scarlet. I think Fade Scarlet. Yes.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's Fade Scarlet. I have a picture of him sitting. I have, or Jesus. Maybe he has it, but there's a picture of him sitting on the wall outside the Getaway. And it was funny because just to the right in that picture is like and I know everybody who's ever played the Getaway in Saranac Lake is wincing, but it's that goddamn staircase. That's like, it's probably like a 30-foot staircase of incline. And if you're trying to carry cabs, and it's an incline. And then once you get to the top, like it doesn't get any better. It's a sharp turn. And then it's another sharp turn. So it was pretty brutal, but that's where I met Bruce. So you don't realize it, but we paralleled there.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. So when you were doing that, like I had met Bruce when I was like 14, 15. We had met through mutual friends. Monday Morning was playing a bunch for me at the Getaway. Abbott Hayes was playing for me at the Getaway. And oftentimes Fade Scarlet would play with Green Reveal.
Is that how he brought Abbott Hayes up to us then?
Hey, now you're catching on. And then Green Reveal would come up and play
Yes,
too.
oh my God, I love them.
Yeah, and then they would move through. I think I had their shirt. I have a whole box of band shirts from
So
like forever.
I ended up, like,
again,
Sean then ended up giving me
girl.
Yeah, Sean ended up giving me one of their CDs because I got sick during the show.
I love Matt too. I haven't seen Maddie in a while. I see him on.
I haven't seen any of them in so long.
But I try to keep in touch with them. And they are wonderful people. And it's always so interesting because they're people that have known me from like my interesting haircuts all the way up till now. And it's always interesting to hear them be like, we saw this coming or something, like we knew you'd get to this point. But it's kind of funny to see the parallel. Like, oh yeah. They were in the Getaway, and then they would come down here and they'd play. Bruce did SUNY Canton, I think, and then Hurley's. I was just talking about Hurley's in Potsdam. I would have shows on occasion, and then Watertown would have the Dungeon. We talked about that.
Yep.
And then you would move down to Syracuse, which had, oh boy, I did about all the bands there. Right now, everyone's like yelling at the freaking thing, wondering what
right now about. I know the Song and Dance, Funkin' Waffles, and a couple.
Funkin' Waffles Funkin' Waffles was on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives at one point.
Yeah, the original building. They moved now to Armory Square.
Mm-hmm. What the hell was, oh my God, right now, I think Scott Dixon's getting angry at me internally and I can feel it through the universe. But he was, oh man, I'm going to look that shit up right now. But like that venue was really awesome too. ICP played there. That was a fun show. That was fun. ICP was actually really fun.
Nice.
The
only time I've been to Funkin' Waffles was for my friend Shane.
This was
and then we ended up finding like two different bands there that were actually like really good. And I'm like, oh hey, I didn't realize there was this much down in Syracuse.
The Lost Horizon.
Yes.
I feel like right about now, everyone in Syracuse is like, we're disowning her. Sorry guys, it's been a long day, and I'm really.
It's been a long time since I've been to Lost Horizon.
It still kind of does some stuff, but Dixon was.
It does.
I don't know if I think he's still on air at 95X. I'm not sure, but he's wonderful, and he's always been one of my favorite people. Just like as a person to talk to, he's really, I've met some really great people through the years, and there's quite a few, especially down in the Syracuse region, that have been like just amazing. And especially having worked through and taught seminars and stuff. But when ICP played The Lost Horizon, they had so much Fago go off. It hit the sprinkler system and trigger. Oh yeah, it triggered like, yeah. That's really not electric friendly. The whole liquid thing, like in. Internal Christine attendee is like, this is fun. Professional Christine is like, this is so.
Yikes.
Yikes. So we had to they evacuated everybody out. The fire department had to go in, obviously.
Make sure.
And everybody went back in.
Yeah.
And of course it's like sloshing through kind of like stickiness on the floor. But it was just fun. It was the same thing when we had what was it, Hank 3? When he went there, it was like a line out the door. That was awesome too. Like the Lost Horizon is one of the most underrated venues, I think.
It really is. Like it's pull in some decent.
I want to say beautiful. It's just like dirty, dingy, punk rocky,
it's grunge.
Amazing. Like I don't know.
Like I always looked up at the ceiling and I'm like, oh, this is actually kind of cool.
I have a picture of like I had to sit at a table. I judged a battle of the bands for a suicide coalition, and I remember just sitting there kind of too, just being like, this is awesome. And then I took a sticker for at the time, one of my own stickers, and I peeled the back off and I slapped it on the pole next to me like nothing was going on, and it was there for years. And
that's what I need to start doing.
There's still one at Hurley's, and here's speaking of stickers, of course, obviously I have your stickers. We've talked about this.
Yes, I need to design a new one.
I'm forever sticking them in packages too for people. Like I love that. I'm like, if I will promote the shit out of you if you're a good person.
Thank you.
If you're a bad piece of crap, I'm probably just I don't know. We'll just stop talking about them. But there's actually a sticker of mine in Hurley's too. On the electric panel box. And then there's one there. And then one it's on there. It was like Regen Media one at the time. And then there's it's at the bottom right-ish. I don't know if that box is still there. It was there last I checked. But then one of my favorite sticker stories is when I was booking at the Getaway. So I was like 16 or 17 at this time. And I had a band coming up from Port Jervis and one from Middletown. And they would both come up kind of like, I would often put them on the same bill because they were friends. They would often play together. So why not? I'll pull them pull two locals. And I used to always do one regional, one local, blah, 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 blah. But what I would do is I would just do two locals, two regionals at that point. But when they came up, when they went to get onto the Northway, because they would come up to the Albany Way, there's that sign that says like Saranac Lake, da, 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 da. They took their band's stickers and they got out of their vehicles and they slapped them on that sign. So now, mind you, this is early 2000s, and I think
stickers ended up everywhere.
Well, it's funny. They did. They really did. And I think I'm past the statute of limitations, so I really have no part of this crime, although I probably am. Whatever. So 10 years, I was 26, 27, maybe about 10 years later, about a decade, maybe. A little more, a little less, somewhere in there. Somebody sent me a picture of that sign, and those stickers were still fucking there. Like,
Nice.
I was like,
Nice.
oh my God. Like, I hope they, like, first of all, what the fuck kind of budget? You have not changed this sign.
Right.
Also, what kind of sign is this? Because it is sturdy. like that isn't.
Now, those stickers
It's
have
like
been
a
on
vinyl
my
bumper
car
sticker.
for 2 years, and they still look just like that.
But I mean, like coming off through it, it's got road salt, rock salt. It's out in the sun. Like
they haven't. They're still there. They haven't faded. They haven't peeled. Nothing.
They're perfect. I
Oh
could
my
send you the
gosh.
picture. They like took it as they were passing one of the people from the bands. Now, unfortunately, like some of the members of the bands, I think some, maybe one or two, some have passed away. Like it wasn't, what you think. I think it was like cancer and stuff. It's just, I don't want to say the nature of beast of getting older, but it was just always one of those funny things that like every so often I have that picture on my phone because I'm just like, I can't believe this got sent to me 10 years later. And not only that it was still there, but that they thought of me. Like they're like,
Awesome.
hey, we're still vagrants. Because I used to tell people that all the time. And it's, man, I'm really like a lawyer's nightmare right now. But like in the DIY element of it, if you're in a car and you come to a stop sign, what are you going to do? Stop.
Thunk.
And you're going to read the fucking sign. And the
Yep.
sign, and if it's got a sticker, you're going to be like, what asshole put that there? And you're going to go to their website. And I'm going to be like, I'm that asshole. Like with that traffic.
I know.
I don't do it anymore. I don't encourage it. There's
what you do with the stickers when we
disclaimer.
give them out is your business.
That is your business. That is your
I
business.
just hand it to you.
Mm-hmm. I do suggest you read the minor laws and the statute of limitations and if they can persecute you, but it's one of those things. But it's the same thing with like telephone poles when people put them on like light poles and shit. Like I love tripping into things like that. But I'm also that weird girl who like, that walkway between brick and mortar and that I Love You store?
Yeah.
They let really cool vine wall. It's so pretty. If you go like 15 steps down that beautiful brick wall, somebody has spray painted the words fuck me. And I'm like, that's it? Art. And I'm like, that's what I want my picture next to. It. Not near the vines. I'm like, we can do that there too, but this is it.
Oh my gosh.
I know I'm a champion of the downtrodden, and I hope that they don't delete that off of that wall because I really like it. I'm also the one who reads like the writing on bathroom walls too.
Yep. All of it.
Although after my recent exploits and realizing that people are more lonely than most, I kind of like want to start taking the phone numbers and be like, so
are you okay?
Like, do you need to talk?
Right? Oh my God. The amount of things. Not even at Lost Horizon. When I went up to Toronto to Hard Luck, the things written on those bathroom stalls.
It's Canada. Canada's awesome as a whole.
No, like they were super nice. Like I had no service whatsoever. And I'm like, hey, do you have Wi-Fi? She's like, what? I'm like, I am not from here. I need to let somebody know that I made it safe. Like I'm here. I'm safe. We're good. Because I had a rental car. It was Mike's last official performance as Rosedale. I went up by myself. No cell phone service. I'm like, I don't even know where this place is. So I'm driving around in a circle. Didn't know where it was until I see this 6'9" guy at a van. I'm like, oh, that's where it is. I need to park. Okay.
I don't know what it is about like random encounters with people. And it's in Canada too. Like that first Warped Tour that I went to, the one up in Parc Jean-Jacques, up in Montreal.
Okay.
Right? That was the first Warped Tour I went to. I was like a 15-year-old. And I love how you're like, I need to let everybody know I was safe. I'm like, I didn't have a cell phone. I left my friend because I wanted to go fucking see the casualties. And like, she was like, Near Found Glory. I'm like, okay. Like, I'm sorry. I had short, black, spiky hair and a faux hawk. Like I missed that haircut. It was so low maintenance, like comparatively speaking to long blonde hair. But, I remember getting there and I was like, this is my first like major situation festival type scenario. I am from like a sheltered situation like you. Like my grandmother was just like, oh, it's wonderful, and I'm like, now I'm looking back on it, and I should have been killed in another country, but I was smushed against that inertia barricade in the front because I had fought my little self to the front. I was like, I'm like 5'3" at the time. I'm like a $110 wet, and I am like standing there, and I am ready. I want to catch the pics. I want all this stuff, and instantaneously music starts, and I am squished, and I'm like, and I mean like squished to the point where I'm like struggling to breathe, and like the security guard is just, I don't know if he's watching for entertainment or he's distracted, or maybe I just looked hilarious doing it, but I just all of a sudden remember feeling this huge relief, and I was just like looking around and like, what the hell, like, did I die?
Right.
How do you not have that feeling? Like all of a sudden,
you just feel like such a sardine when you're
I did.
there.
And I look back, and there's like a guy who's got a hand on each side of, like, on the side of the inertia barricading. Like he's holding on, and he's pushed back the crowd. And I mean, obviously I wouldn't say shorter. I'm probably the same height at the time, but I had to look up to look at him. He wasn't like Andre the Giant or something, but he was,
but enough that you're like,
guy. But that's the punk rock culture, like taking care of each other. And he pushed back the crowd and made sure that I could really enjoy myself. I got pics. He made sure I caught everything. He asked me if I was okay. And I'm like, oh my God, that is the nicest human I've ever met. And like, even then I went over to their tent because, back then they did tents. And I think they still did all the way through. But I went over to the casualties tent, and I found the guy. And he was talking to the band, and I remember telling the band what he had done. And I was like, that is so nice. And I couldn't believe it. And they ended up giving him like a shirt, and I got to actually thank him.
Nice. That's awesome.
But my family didn't know where I was. So, you're not supposed to let your family know. I'm just over here getting killed and thanking strangers.
I'm just like, I'm here. I'm going to enjoy the show. And then I was talking with the bartender. I was talking with the guy at the door. I had to help Mike move stuff up the stairs.
You were a loader.
That was not fun.
Call it what it is. You were a stagehand.
And then he had people help him take stuff down afterwards. I had to stay with the van to watch everything.
Yeah, you're a stagehand, honey.
I'm like, okay, cool.
You're an unpaid stagehand. And that's, what's interesting is like every time I work a show, I don't
He
drink.
actually did give me, I don't know if I actually did post it or if you saw it, but he did give me the Rosedale banner. After the show. So he's like, here, you earned it. And he just handed it to me. I'm like,
I love the sentimentality of it. And then on the other side of it, I can hear him cussing, going, shit, can't fit it in the trailer.
Well, considering his tour was called That Really Tall Canadian with Way Too Much Gear. It was by himself, DIY. He played all the instruments. He did all the backtracking. And it was just him in like a 17-passenger van, packed from the back seat to the back door.
So you got to play van Jenga.
No, I just handed it to him.
Van Tetris. It's more Tetris.
I just handed it to him, and I said, I'm like, here, I will hand it to you. You tell me what you want. Here.
Look, I really think that an experience in your life needs to be, they bring it out and set it by the back of the vehicle, and I get to watch you try to figure out, Melissa, how you are going to load this entire trailer. Oh, and then merch is going to come out after you got it 3/4 full, and we're going to need you to rearrange the entire thing. Also, you're working on a deadline. Bus calls in an hour. So, so move your ass. Like it's
And then, of course, we couldn't park on that side of the road until 6:30. So he had to unload quick. I had to stay with it. He had to go move the van. And he's like, all right, it's 6:30. Move your car over in front of my van. I'm like, okay. So that way we could both just leave. He's like, all right, try to stay behind me. I'm like, no, give me the address to where we're going because I'm going to lose you in Toronto.
You probably would. But you get good poutine. Like, that's a great place to get stuck. And everybody's so polite in Canada.
It was 2 a.m. and the only place open was a shawarma place.
Okay, so this past summer, when I did that show, man, I hadn't eaten the whole day, which is a big mistake. I should have.
Oh my God.
I was just like
You were like nonstop. Sorry.
I was.
Okay, that would have been seen as a bribe to get in.
Well, that's true. That's true. But I was nonstop. And the day before with pre-pro getting everybody all set up and stuff. And that day, I think I told you about Dahlia and the gem. And I'm like up in the Civic Center. I'm away from everybody. And I get this infamous phone call that my daughter has stuck a bedazzler jewel into her ear canal. And I'm like standing in the middle of the venue. And I'm like, this is a monumental moment. I have to do this. I'm watching, I have an amazing production manager. He's wonderful. He's great at doing this. And I'm like, I'm running outside and I'm like, okay, so where are we at in terms of the gym? And then I run inside and I'm like, okay, where are we at here? Mm-hmm. So, and then I would have briefings and then I have walkthroughs and it was very thorough. Like, I don't think I've ever gone over the documents with you, but I was pretty detailed in explaining to you how thorough that project in Saranac was and how important, like keeping everybody safe and environmentally and
you were like constantly walking around making sure everybody was good, nobody was like heat exhaustion because it was hot in there.
It was hot in there and it was hot out there outside too, and
everybody was drinking.
Did you even notice I had one person, we had the ambulance come and take one person away because they had a diabetic emergency. But it was so swift, nobody even noticed. Like so many people. I had an entire first responders. Like they had a green room.
No, like everything went just so like I didn't even notice. Like, and I was looking around at like everything, trying to take it all in. Didn't even notice. Like you had everything it just went really well.
I got the damn thing done.
Yeah, you did. You did.
I knew what I was doing. But thank you. It was definitely like, it was a labor. It was a 2-year labor from the board meetings, which were, those were fun. The political arena portion of it, which was interesting. And then like the day of, like the pre-pro, I think, I don't know if you were working the day before the show and then I had stopped it. Cause I think I ended up having to go back home because
I was at work. Yeah.
3 doctors couldn't get this gem out of this child's ear. So it's so funny. So you're like, everything looks so smooth. And I'm like, meanwhile, I've got these 6 locker rooms and I've got band. Their green rooms are all set. I've got my security set. I've got 2 walkies. I've got, I've done about, by the time we get to doors or lineups or any of that time, I have done security. Security's broken into, like I am, like it's almost like insane level detailed. There's like zone turn on off times. My team was amazing. Like I cannot applaud them enough for their hard work and especially like everything that they did and how.
Yeah, and you guys made like getting in so smooth. It was just you're just like, all right, done, have fun.
Bracelets, everybody was, we had no alcohol issues. We had nobody, slothing out of there. And there was, I'm kind of one of those people that loves metrics. So when I went backwards into that, I actually submitted it was a survey to all the people that had gone into the event. Like this is this town hasn't seen a concert of this magnitude in almost 30 years.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I really want to know, because I had fought tooth and nail and I really wanted to know the fiscal metrics of how it would affect the economic area, because that is always a big thing. It's like a pretty necklace that nobody ever takes out. And it was a great homecoming for me. So when I went back into it, I had actually been able to deduce approximately the amount of earnings that had been brought into the area. And it was substantial. And I mean, housing, everything else, but the melee of stuff that was not like, you're like, hey, look, it looks so smooth. And I'm like, yeah, okay. So my kid got a gem shoved in her ear. And I'm running around being mom, and then she shows up because, it's like they can't get it out. 3 doctors can't. We're talking like the emergency room doctors. We're talking an ENT, and we're talking a pediatric surgeon can't get it out. So,
oh my God,
I had to have her scheduled for surgery at work a week later. She shows up to the night before. I end up going home that night because she's like, my ear hurts. I have to be mom first. Like that's just how that works. Everybody else retreated to where they needed to be. I had my runners all set for the next day. Everything was good. And I just had to get up at the crack of dawn and go there. And when I got up there, like I hadn't eaten all day. I can't remember. I drank some water. there's like protocols. I won't like if I open a water and set it down, I will not drink off it again. And that sounds like really weird and wasteful. I know the world is kind of like wincing at me right now, but there's just things I don't do. Like I don't drink on the clock. I just can't run the risk of something happening. And it's not an assumption that anything in my team would happen, but it just takes once. So it's one of those things where that's going on. And I have that event ends up helping 3 501c3s in the process of it. You know, the Civic Center was a 501c3, the Humane Society, and the Youth Center. The Youth Center got a guitar from Balaguer,
which was awesome.
Yeah, they didn't have any instruments, like, which is insane. Like, how do you have somebody like me come out of there? Like, I'm like, this is the venue of, you know, my childhood, and it's kind of desolate, to put it politely. And she ended up having surgery like a week later and getting the gem removed, by the way.
Yep.
I have the gem in a container.
Like, are you going to put this in your ear again?
I put it in her baby box. But it's one of those things where it's like,
do you remember when you did this?
I asked her why. And she's like, I want to hear pretty sounds. And I'm like, that is so innocent, adorable, and God fucking damn it. Like at the same time, because I'm like, I love arts and crafts.
Keep listening for the next part of this episode.
Visit www.whoischristineanyway.com for access to all the social media links and additional podcast episodes.